Hello, guys. How are you all? Meeting you after a long time. As you all know, the entire world facing the COVID pandemic. So be safe. Okay. Then how is your studies going on? Whether I don't know, you people are touching the books or simply enjoying your holidays. But I know my students are punctual and regular in studies. Okay, fine. So, due to some schedules, the anatomy and physiology portions are not yet covered. No, only 3 or 4 topics, isn't it? No. So, by 3 or 4 days, we just complete that portions. Okay. So, get back to the class. Today class is the anatomy and physiology of nervous system. Okay. What is nervous system? See, the nervous system coordinates all body functions, enabling a person to adapt to the changes in the internal and external environment. Simply, see, what do you mean by nervous system? See, nervous systems is all about coordination of the system. Okay, for example, we are walking, isn't it? No, we are doing some works. This is externally, and internally, so many organs are working, like heart pumping, isn't it? No, and the food is digestion is happening, isn't it? All this internal and external works are carried out and coordinated by this nervous system. Okay, so the nervous system is composed mainly of the nerve cells, is a specialized cells that we call neurons, and supporting cells that we call neuroglia. Understood? So what is the composition of a nervous system, or what is the cells which compose the brain and spinal cord? This we call neurons. Is a very highly specialized cells. Okay, then for the neurons, some cells are supporting, that supporting cells we call neuroglia. Clear? First we'll see what do you mean by neurons. Okay, the neurons is a basic conducting cell of the nervous system. As I told before, is a highly specialized but cannot reproduce itself. What do you mean by this? Cannot reproduce itself means, for example, if you are what is that, damaging of a outer cell wall of any hand or any epithelial tissue, you think like that. Okay, so any damaging of your finger or your the external epithelial cells, that may, what is that may regain its structure and function, isn't it? No, for example, you take one, if you are burning your fingertip, okay, after 1 week or 2 week, again your finger is normal in state, isn't it? No, but if anything damage will happen to a brain, the brain cell is not reproduced. This is what the special characteristics of the neurons or the brain cell. Okay, so that is what we call is a highly specialized but cannot reproduce itself. Understood? No? Okay, the main parts of the neuron is two parts mainly, that is cell body and fiber. This is also called axons and dendrites. Okay, I will show you. See, this is what the structure of neuron. Okay, see, what we call, this is called a cell body. Okay, this portion is a cell body. This is also called soma. Okay, the cell body which composed of the middle, the blue portion, isn't it? No, that we call nucleus, and this most small particle you can observe that we call Neisser's granules. Okay, then you are watching some the tree-like structures, no, the finger-like structures that we call dendrites. This dendrites, there's going to be carry the impulses. Okay, they're going to be carry the impulses, isn't it? No, some stimulus, I will tell you. Okay, I will explain you next slides. This is, just to understood, this is what the cell body, or we also call soma. This V center part, the round part, the bluish part, we call nucleus, and small particles, cell, in the small particles we call Neisser's granules. Okay, then this continuation of this we call axon. See, this is the body and this we call axon. Have you seen this continuation part? Yellow colored structure we call, no, that we call axon. Around the axon, some pink color cells are your Watching, isn't it? No, this cells we call Schwann cell. Okay, pronounce once again, Schwann cell. Okay, then this Schwann cells having some covering layer that we call myelin sheath. Okay, this is what the protecting layer and the conducting layer of the neuron that we call myelin sheath. And between the Schwann cells, we have some junction that we call space that we call node of Ranvier. Okay, node of Ranvier. Have you seen this? Yes. Then the continuation of this axon, that ending of that axon we call axon terminal. What do you mean by this? Axon terminal. Then the tip of that axon terminal we call synaptic node. Okay, so means synaptic, in further slides you may see synaptic junction. Okay, what do you mean by this? Between the two cells, see, this is what the 20 billion cells are there in the brain. Clear, no? So the link, okay, the connection between the two neurons that we call synaptic junction. Okay, I will show you in the next slides and on. But you understood the structure first. What are those? Soma or the cell body, then the axon. Okay, this is two main parts. Then along with that, we can see this dendrites and the nasal granules, nucleus, Schwann cells, and the myelin sheath, then node of Ranvier, axon terminal, and the synaptic node. Understood? And this, the axon is a long process with a myelin sheath. This conducts the impulses away from the cell body. Understood, no? We have seen the previous slide actually, no? Wait, I will show you one more thing. See, this is what we also called a, what is that? Neuron only, isn't it? No. So, this is we call axon, isn't it? So, what will the axon did? Axon is a long process that conduct the impulses from the cell body. Conducted the stimulus away from the body. Clear, no? Okay. And the dendrites are the short, thick and diffuse branching process that receive the impulses and conduct them towards the cell body. Okay, what do you mean by this? This is going to be, branching process that receive the impulses and conducting them towards the cell body. What do you mean by this? See, whatever the senses, stimulus, this carry by the body, that is we call axon. All the stimulus, okay, is received through this dendrite. This is very short and branchy structure, isn't it? No, that we call dendrites. Then the nervous system is composed of neurons which produces and conduct the electrochemical impulses and supporting cells which assist the function of the neurons. Okay, then we'll see what do you mean by neuroglia. What is neuroglia? Neuroglia is the supporting cells. They supply the nutrients to the neurons and help to maintain the electrical potential. Okay, they also form the part of the blood-brain barrier. Okay, next year you will see what do you mean by blood-brain barrier. Okay, in the second year, but you should know what is neuroglia. Simply you say neuroglia is a supporting cells to the neurons. That's enough. And again we have the types of neuroglias. So what are those? This is a microglia, macroglia, microglia and epidermal cells. Okay. Now we'll see what are the types of neurons. Okay, this is a very simple answer. See, mainly you say in the type of neurons, we have, see, sensory neurons, motor neurons, pyramidal neurons, astrocyte, beta cells and microglia. If it is big, this we call macroglia. Okay, see, the sensory neurons, what is the function of sensory neurons means? So, we have 5 sense organs, isn't it, no? Eyes, nose, skin, ears, isn't it? No. So all the sense that we are sensing means through this sensory neurons. So what we are doing some actions. I am pinpointing this structure due to some motor neurons. Understood? So that as such these are some special functions. Pyramidal neurons. See, the structure is kind similar and different. Okay, astrocytes, beta cells, and microglia and the macroglia. Okay, if you have the question in the exam, what are the, just they will say mention the types of neurons. Then you say simply sensory neurons, motor neurons, pyramidal neurons, astrocytes, beta cells, microglia, macroglia, oligodendroia, and we can say like that. Understood? Okay. Okay. Now we'll see what are the you know nervous system classification is very important. See, we all know, so I think usually we have idea nervous system is a brain. Nervous system is a brain, not like that. Okay, nervous system is a vast category. Okay, is a very big category, so which includes so many types. So for your better understanding, we're gonna divide into two categories. Okay, the nervous system is composed of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So central means what? Is a main. Okay, the peripherally means what? Peripherally means out of the center. Okay, is a boundary, is a edge. Okay, we can say like that. So mainly we should focus on the classification here. So we say nervous system is going to be classified into two types, that is central nervous system and the periphery nervous system. Central nervous system, again we say this composing of brain and the spinal cord, whereas if peripheral nervous system, it is further divided into autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. Okay, again autonomic nervous system is divided into parasympathetic system and the sympathetic nervous system, whereas the somatic nervous system is further divided into sensory and the motor nervous system. Clear? I'll give you some gross picture of you. Now you listen. See, the central nervous system, the brain. Here we'll see what are the structure of brain. Okay, then in the spinal cord, and what are the structure and the function of the spinal cord. What are the nerves what are the types which include in the spinal cord. What are the nerves is included in the brain. Clear now? We'll see one by one in detail. And in this peripheral nervous system, again I told that is autonomic nervous system and the somatic nervous system. Soma means what? Body. It is what? The grocery. Externally we can say. See, motor means what? All you are working, working, doing, and all is a motor. Sensory means we are perceiving some sense, perceiving some stimulus in the environment, that we call sensory. Whereas autonomic nervous system is the best example is for example, again it is composed of a sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. So okay, I will give you the best example for this autonomic nervous system. Okay, if you touch unknowingly any the fire, or if you are a step on the snake, what you will do? Suddenly we withdrawal unconscious. Suddenly we withdrawal. Isn't it? No? Suddenly you take off your finger from the fire. Isn't it? No? Why all those things? Because of this autonomic nervous system. Sometimes what we are doing, for example, another you take, for reading, for writing, we are thinking twice, thrice, 4 times like that. Otherwise, if you are speaking with any dignitary persons, we think twice. There we require a time, but in this condition not like that. If you are touching fire, if you are step on any snake, we are doing automatically. Within a second we are doing. Why? Due to this supporting of autonomic nervous system. See, sympathetic means your, what is that, with the frustration, anger, fear, all the increasing actions. You are feeling some fear things, touching the fire. Okay, you are getting some sense, that we call parasympathetic. You withdraw your finger suddenly, that we call parasympathetic. Clear? So we'll discuss more in the next slides and all. But you just have this idea. Okay, now we'll see what are the in detail about the central nervous system. As we all know, the central nervous system, which is composed of a brain and a spinal cord, isn't it? Now we'll see brain in detail. Brain, okay, this structure we call the brain, okay, and this brain weighs about 3 pounds in adult. how much? 3 pounds in adult, and which compose of 75% of water, 20% of oxygen. Okay, then contains over 100 billion neurons. How much? 100 billion neurons. Okay, then controls the bodily functions and interactions with the outside world. Clear, no? So this is what the brain. Again, we have a 4 parts. Mainly how many parts? 4 parts, that is cerebrum, diencephalon, brainstem and cerebellum. Okay, so we are seeing, no, this is we call cerebrum. The outer part we call cerebrum. Is down we call the cerebellum. Okay, this is we call cerebellum. And inside we can see the diencephalon. I will show in the next slide. Okay, this way the running part of the brain we call brainstem. Here, no, the bulging, no, brainstem. And this continuation of the brain is we call spinal cord. Okay, next slide I will show you. See, in this slide we can see diencephalon also. Now you'll see this is we call cerebral hemisphere. Okay, the brownish color, okay, the skinnish color part we call cerebral. Okay, cerebral hemisphere. Okay, the blue part that we call diencephalon. Pronounce with me, diencephalon. Then the pink color we are seeing, that we call cerebellum. Okay, then the greenish part we call brainstem. Understood? Cerebrum, diencephalon, cerebellum and the brainstem. Clear? Okay, now we'll see cerebral hemisphere, or we can say cerebrum. Okay, so this is the paired left and right. Okay, if you see in the front view, okay, this is what section we call side view, isn't it? No, side view we are seeing this is a one smear. If it is turned like this brain, no, we can see the left and right. Okay, that is superior parts of the brain. Okay, this we have 2 hemispheres. Okay, then include the more than half of the brain mass. This is we call cerebral hemisphere. Most of the half of the brain which consists of the cerebrum. Understood, no? So again we can see the lobes also. This cerebrum which consists of the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, okay, then the occipital lobe. Clear? And one more is once again the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe. Clear? We'll discuss in the next slide. And one more thing, you are watching now. See, this brain is also consists of so many fissures like structure. Okay, fissure like structure, some bulky structure, isn't it? No. So that we call gyrus. The bulging part, what we are seeing, that we call gyrus. And what is that line which is going to be in depth? No, that we call sulcus. The protrusion, that is going to be in depth, have some lines and all, that we call sulcus. Okay, and one more thing you should know, the brain is outer covering of the brain that we call gray matter, and inner covering of we call white matter. Okay, just you have an idea. We'll discuss in depth in the next slides. Okay, see, the surface is made up of, as I told earlier, that is gyri, and the grooves that we call sulci. Means, see, the surface is made up of some ridges, the bulky, bulky portions that we call gyrus. Okay, otherwise we call gyri. Gyri is a plural, gyrus is a singular. Okay, and some grooves that we call sulcus. Understood, no? This is we call gyrus and this is we call sulcus. Yeah, now we'll discuss about the lobes of the cerebrum. Okay, so what do you mean by in here? Fissures. Fissures, as I told before, that is a deep grooves inside some bulky portions though, that we call fissures, thus divided the cerebrum into the lobes. Okay, the deep structure of sulcus we call fissure. I will show you. See, this is we call fissure. This is all the small what we call some grooves. No, the small grooves we call the sulcus. This is what the great groove that we call fissure. So that great groove which is divided the brain into the frontal, some of the lobes, isn't it? No, that we are discussing now. So, namely frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe and the temporal lobe. Once again, frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe and the temporal lobe. See, this is what the lobes of the cerebrum. Clear? This is we call the frontal lobe. Clear? And one more thing. See, this is what some sagittal section of the brain. If we dividing the brain some sideways like this, see, now we can see all the structures in depth. Isn't it? No, see, the white portions we call the corpus callosum. Okay, corpus callosum. Understood, no? Then this is what the cerebellum, isn't it? But now we are discussing the lobes. Isn't it? No, this is a frontal lobe, is a parietal lobe, this is a occipital lobe, and this is in this side will come the temporal lobe. Clear? Understood? Once again I will show you. See, clearly. This is frontal lobe. This is a parietal lobe. Okay, see, this is the sky blue color, no, that we call temporal lobe, and what we are seeing this skin color, no, that we call occipital lobe. Clear? Okay. Okay, now we'll see some specialized area of the cerebrum. See, the somatic sensory area is there, okay, that we call, that receives the impulses from the body's sensory receptor. For example, we are watching something, that is what what we are watching, that is a sensory perception that received to the brain, that we call somatic sensory area, whereas the primary motor area, that is sends the impulses to the skeletal muscles. Okay, the brain will say take the pen like this, that we call primary motor area. Skeletally we are doing, right? Then the Broca's area mainly is involved in our ability to speak. Is very important. What is the ability to speak? In which area? That we call Broca's area. Okay, see, the cerebrum have a huge functions. You can see very closely, come to close. You see here. You are seeing, no? Yes, see, from this, the superior part. Okay, the superior part and the side part is there, no? Here in this part is able to swallowing. This part is for function of a tongue, is a face, lips, jaw, eyebrows, neck, thumb, finger, hand, wrinkle. Again the arms is there, hip, knee, like this means this all function is carried out by this part of the brain. Okay, this is the meaning of this picture. Understood, no? Okay. And also the cerebral areas involved in the special senses, that is gustatory area means taste. The cerebrum, okay, helps to perceive the taste sense. Also visual area, auditory area, olfactory area. These all impulses and these all we are feeling by this part of the brain that we call cerebrum. So what is the main interpretation or the function of the cerebrum means helps in speech, language region we can say. Then the language comprehension region. Okay, the general interpretation of the area. These all, okay, the memory, thinking, the speech, intelligence, this all the center which is situated in the brain, that is we call cerebrum. So have a review of this once again. Okay, see, this is cerebrum, no, this is carried out the, what are the motor functions also, then associated function also, then the Broca's area mainly for speech. You know, in this area the language comprehension was taking place, and this area we can sense, that we call olfactory function. Okay, Again, in this dark blue, it help to somatic sensory cortex area, means movements and all. Okay, in this area gustatory, okay, means tasting, isn't it? No, and this area is, helps to speech or no speak or some language and all, which is carried out by this part. And this part is the aid for visual area, and this is we call auditory. So many functions, almost all the sensory functions. Okay, then the memories, intelligent functions and all this carried out by cerebrum. Now we'll see what are the layers of the cerebrum. Okay, cerebrum is consist of two parts, that is gray matter and the white matter. Tell me what are the layers? Two layers, that is gray matter and the white matter. The gray matter, that is outer layer. Okay, the outer layer which is consist of, have you seen the skin color? The gray color, that we call the gray matter. The outer part of the brain which is consist of the gray matter. Clear? Composed of mostly of the neuron cell body. Have you seen? So we all seen the structure of neurons, no? What are the body part will comes, no? Body part. Okay, that is what? Gray matter. All the body cells, the neurons, no, that the body parts which consist here. So that is give the color of the gray, that we call the gray matter. Now we'll see what is the white matter. White matter is the inside of the brain, is called white matter. The fiber or the axons which consist of this white area, so that we call white matter. Okay, examples is the corpus callosum, the connected two hemispheres. I will show you once again. See, now we'll see the cerebrum is consist of two layers, that is the gray matter and the white matter. Okay, this is the outer layer that we call the gray matter, inner layer we call the white matter. Usually we can say the white matter is a corpus callosum. What is this? Corpus callosum. Okay, this corpus callosum mainly do the connect between the two lobes, two hemispheres, that we call corpus callosum. Next part of the brain is a diencephalon. Okay, this sits on the top of the brainstem, enclosed by the cerebral hemisphere, made up of three parts. What are those? Thalamus, hypothalamus and epithalamus. So what is diencephalon? Diencephalon sits on the top of the brainstem. We have seen a bluish color. I will show you once again. See, this is what the diencephalon. Okay, the blue part that we call diencephalon. Okay, that is consist of the thalamus, thalamus and hypothalamus and the epithalamus. Clear, no? Then this enclosed by the cerebral hemispheres. Isn't it? No, that enclosed, that covered by the cerebral hemispheres. This is this part we call diencephalon. And now we'll see what is a thalamus. Thalamus surrounds the third ventricle. Okay, I will show what do you mean by third ventricle. I will say the gap, the space in the brain that we call ventricles. The space within the brain that we call ventricle. So this is thalamus is going to be surrounds the third ventricle. Okay, the relay station for the sensory impulses. The relay station of a sensory impulses means all the sensory impulses is going to be relay in this part, that is we call thalamus. Then also that transfers the impulses to the correct part of the cortex for localizations and interpretation, means all the sensory input which is carried out through the thalamus to the cerebrum. Okay, to the cerebrum, that we call thalamus. Understood, no? Okay, now we'll see what is hypothalamus. Hypo means was down. Below the thalamus we call hypothalamus. Under the thalamus, isn't it? No. Then important autonomic nervous system center is also called as an important autonomic nervous system. Means the main function of hypothalamus is to helps to regulate the body temperature. This is a frequent asking questions in the exam. Which is the temperature center? Okay, whether the fever, cold, chill, all is maintained by the this part of the brain that we call hypothalamus. Is a very important question, keep it in mind, okay? That is, body temperature is regulated by this hypothalamus, also which controls the water balance, whatever the dehydration, over fluid and all this controlled by this hypothalamus, also which regulates the metabolism. Okay, understood? No, this is what we call hypothalamus. Also, an important part of the limbic system is emotional, anger, crying, happy, and all which carried out by hypothalamus. Also, the pituitary gland is attached to the hypothalamus, the main gland, one of the important gland that we call pituitary gland, okay, which is situated in the hypothalamus. Now we'll see epithalamus. Epithalamus means what? Above. This epithalamus forms the roof of the third ventricle of the thalamus. Okay. Then house of the pineal gland. Okay. Pineal body is nothing but a endocrine gland. Okay. That includes the choroid plexus, forms a cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, just you have a idea that epithalamus is situated above the thalamus, you say that much. Okay, this is enough for you. Then the brain stem. What is a brain stem? It is going to be attaches to the spinal cord. Between the brain and the spinal cord, that we call brain stem. Okay, I'll show you. See, this is what the brain stem. Okay, stem, brain stem. Okay, is attached to the spinal cord, continuation of the brain, isn't it? No, so this part we call brain stem, and this contains the parts, that is midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. Okay, so the brain stem is composed of three parts, that is midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. See, I will show you. Okay. Have you found midbrain? Where is the midbrain there? See, this is what a midbrain. Okay, so this part, this is we call midbrain. After that, we are seeing the bulging point, is a round and bulging point, that we call pons. The continuation of this pons, that again we have some structure here that we call medulla oblongata. Then it is continue as a spinal cord. Understood? Can see here midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. Together we'll say brain stem. Now we'll see what is a midbrain. See, they're mostly composed of a tract of a nervous fiber. Thus it you'll say. Understood? No, it's mostly composed of a tract of a nervous tract. Okay, that is enough for you. Next we'll see pons. Pons is a bulging center part of the brain stem, as we all know, isn't it? And they're mostly composed of the fiber tract, including the nuclei involved in the control of breathing. You see how the hypothalamus helps in the temperature regulations. The same thing, the pons is controlling of a breathing. This much you understood is enough. Okay, they may ask for 1 marks. That is, where is a breathing center? The breathing center is situated in the pons. If it is any damage will happen to the pons, okay, the person may feeling some breathing difficulty. Clear, no? The main breathing difficulties or something neurological breathing difficulties happen due to some damage in the pons. So just we should know the breathing, control of a breathing is mainly done by this pons. That's enough for you, okay? Now we'll see medulla oblongata. This is the lowest part of the brainstem. This merges into the spinal cord, includes the important fiber tracts, and what are the important functions? Okay, important control centers are heart rate control, blood pressure regulations, breathing, swallowing, and vomiting. Is very important. You just keep more concentration on this. See, the heart rate is controlled by the medulla oblongata, as well as the blood pressure is controlled by the medulla oblongata. Along with the pons, this medulla oblongata carried out this breathing process and also swallowing process and the vomiting process. Clear, no? Understood? Okay. Now we'll see cerebellum. This is the two hemispheres with convoluted surfaces and provide the involuntary coordination of the body movement. Okay, what is a cerebellum? Cerebellum is a two hemispheres with a convoluted surface. I will show you. See, this is what a convoluted, isn't it? No, the pinkish color, have you seen this? So many convolutions are there, isn't it? No, like a cauliflower, isn't it? So this is we call cerebellum, have so many convolutions here. Okay, that does the same thing. The cerebellum also having the two hemispheres. Two hemispheres means what? Two separate divisions, two lobes we can say. Okay, this is we call cerebellum, that provides the what? Involuntary coordination of the body movement. How? What do you mean by this? See, if you are putting the right leg first, then the left leg come to the second, isn't it? Now that is what the coordination, swing of the arms, isn't it? No, so all the coordinating involuntary movements is mainly carried out by our cerebellum. Clear? No, involuntary coordinations. And for example, I will say one more examples. You know, our heart beating, the heart pumping is very regular, isn't it? No, that is what involuntarily is going to be coordinating, that we call cerebellum. Okay. So in next class, we'll see the protection of the central nervous system. By this, the brain is over, but we'll see what are the protection of a central nervous systems and how the brain is going to be protected, in which all the structures will continue in the next class. Okay, if you have any doubts or any questions, you can freely clear with a group, or we can call me. Okay, and keep updating your notes. Okay, see you in the next class.